Beautiful daughter Caitlynne, and this is her sister Madison, her mini me, as I like to say, her look-alike. And the pictures are of her daughter Alexis, who was 9 months old whenever she was murdered. She's now 2, and with me. And then this is my beautiful daughter Caitlynne that was brutally murdered by her husband Alex Guajardo, that was out not just on one PR bond. He was out on multiple PR bonds. When he murdered her, he was already due to be in court. He hadn't went to court yet for a DWI and a hit and run. This was his second DWIs in his 22 years of life. Caitlynne had him arrested on the Wednesday before she was murdered for assault, for assaulting her. He was arrested, and he had also killed her cat. The police had walked into, and the cat was tortured in a bag of bleach. So he was not just a habitual, he was an habitual offender. He was violent. He was a cat killer. And we had been begging Caitlynne to press charges. As a mother, your biggest fear is, my most anxiety was knowing that she was in a very bad domestically abusive relationship. And we begged her to press charges. We begged her. And then she finally did. And that Wednesday morning when she called me and told me he was arrested, I was so proud of her. She was so strong, and she did exactly what we had been wanting her to do. She was being protected, or so we thought. He was in jail where he needed to be. And then it was just a few days later, on Saturday, August 3rd, that I got a phone call from a medical examiner that she was stabbed to death. She was 17 weeks pregnant. And obviously, your world stops. You go numb. The pain is unimaginable. She was not just my daughter, she was my best friend. And she had just started over. She had left Alex. She had his parents come get everything out of the apartment. It was over. I was so proud of her. She had never looked more beautiful than she did Saturday morning. She was free. And she, when I found out that she had been murdered after the numbness and the shock and the denial and the sadness and the pain, I just was angry because I wanted to know who bonded him out. Like, who bonded him out? Who would let out a cat killer? Who would let out someone that, assaults their wife? I just assumed it was someone he knew. I assumed it was a family member or a friend. And it wasn't until the next day on August 4th when I saw the Pasadena Police Chief Josh Bruger on TV explaining their PR system and that he was let out on not a bond, but a PR bond for free, a slap on the hand. I could not even believe what I was hearing. I was livid. I was angry, and I knew that my daughter's death was preventable. And I knew if the rest of my days I was going to fight to make sure a change was made in her name, that she would be a catalyst to make sure that this does not happen to anyone else. These PR bonds are being handed out like popcorn. These criminals are laughing at a Harris County in our justice system. It has to stop. Criminals who are violent belong behind bars. They need to be held accountable. This law is going to bring accountability back into a very broken system. And the numbers are rising. Sadly, I can relate to now, 100 people that are like us that have lost family members. The pain never goes away. I will always have a hole in my heart. And I just thank y'all again, and I pray for change, and that Caitlynne's story will forever, make a change in our laws, and that these violent criminals do not continue to get these consistent, back-to-back PR bonds. And I thank you so much.